So my name is Zuag Vaj. My parents, I grew up in California, but we landed here in America in Bellingham, Washington. And this is just my knowledge of our history here and how we got here. So what happened was the Hmong people started in China, and they lived in the southern part of China. And so when the Chinese emperor said that he wanted all the Hmong people to be Chinese, and we said, no, we're Hmong people, we're not Chinese. And so what they did was they enslaved all the Hmong people. And then they killed them, and then all the rest who were able to escape went down south and went into the other Asian countries. And that's why you'll find them in Vietnam, Laos, and Thailand. But you'll always find them in the mountains. They don't live in the city because that's where the mainland people are, and so they don't have a country. The reason you hear a lot about Hmong people in Laos is because during the Vietnam War, Laos was a neutral country. And so no military personnel were allowed in here. And so what happened was instead of the military personnel, the CIA came in. But of course, at that time, we had no idea who the CIA was. We just knew that they came in plain clothes and they weren't military. And so the CIA built a secret camp, a secret base in Laos. And the only way to access, unless you were trekking through the jungle, was a little plane strip in Long Cheng. And so they could fly in and out without being detected. And so what happened was they helped with the war, and like my dad, part of his group was that they were supposed to find the pilots that were shot down. And because remember, it's supposed to be a neutral country, they are not allowed to be here. And so the pilots, if they were shot down, they were told if the pilots survived, they were supposed to hide them and get them back to what we know now is CIA headquarters. But at that time, the American people is what they said. And if the pilots did not survive, they were supposed to grab the necklaces, which now we know were dog tags. And so that was how a lot of the Hmong people got involved in here. They recruited boys as young as 9 and 10. And so that is how the Hmong people in Laos got involved with the Vietnam War and how the CIA got in. But like I said, if you go into the other Asian countries, you'll find them in the mountains. And going back to China, what happened was when the Chinese enslaved all the Hmong people, they took away their written language and they tried to take away their spoken language, and they enslaved them. And when they enslaved them, they gave them these silver necklaces, not necklaces, but silver rings, and kind of tied them together so that they couldn't escape. And so part of the Hmong pantao that you see in their sewing was the women trying to keep their written language alive, but secretly. And so now, even in our clothing, it is there. There is part of the Hmong written language. We just don't know it anymore because it's been gone for so long and taken from us. And then for part of the silver necklaces that you see every day now, Hmong people are always very resilient, and they take something that's bad and they can make it good in some way. And so what happened is, as you can see, the necklaces that everybody wears now, we can take them on and off. And that was a way to tell the Chinese that you can enslave us, but we can also turn that into something beautiful. And so we made necklaces out of it, made of it intricate, but we can take it on and off at will. And so that's part of the origins of how they got into all these other Asian countries. And how it got to America was that, and it wasn't just America. When all of this, when the Vietnam War ended, a lot of the countries opened their doors to help all these refugees that had managed to escape to Thailand. So, for example, in my case, I was born in Laos, and we escaped and crossed the Mekong River and got into Thailand, and we were in a refugee camp. From the refugee camp, we were sponsored by a church in America in Bellingham, Washington, called the Assumption Church. It was a Catholic church. And so my first home in America was actually in Bellingham. And so you will find that Hmong people, they always like to join clans. That's their support system, that's their strength. And so my mother's side of the family is the Cha clan, and they landed here in the Seattle area. But my father's clan is the Hmong Va, and they landed, and they all banded together in the Sacramento area. And so I grew up in Sacramento, and then I came back to Washington after I graduated from high school. And so that's my little history of what I know and how we got to America. And like I said, Hmong people, you'll find them scattered all over because during the open sponsorship, you'll find Hmong people in France, America, Australia, Germany. And so they're scattered all over. which is not normal for Hmong people because they stay together. And so it was a very, very difficult time because families were lost and families were split. So, but here we are again gathering and trying to make sure the young generation knows what their history is and where they're from and the importance of family. You're welcome.